Coach, headline of last season is that you all made the NCAA tournament for the first time in 20 seasons. Let's reflect on that. What do you feel like led to that success?
You know, it was a whirlwind of a season, obviously taking over a program that hasn't had, success in a long time and getting a team to buy into what we were doing and really believe. You gotta build a believe in it before it can and ever happen. And then just going through and just continue to get better and better. And I think really the tipping point was when we did beat Iowa at home on January 1st. And I think then that gave our team a lot of confidence. And from there just continued to make strides and do some things that we hadn't done in a long time in Illinois' program.
They probably started to believe everything you were saying, that they could actually do it. You're used to winning, right? You spent years at Dayton, multiple championships. What winning habits do you want to make sure your team at Illinois has?
That's what we really tried to instill right away. As soon as we, first day on the job was just the culture. I mean, that's the most important piece. And our culture is about, really just relationships and a family feel. It starts with that. Our players have to understand that we care about them as people too, because I think you have to have that in order to get anything on the court. So that's where we start with our culture. And then it's really just about trying to be the best version of yourself and be elite. We talk about being elite all the time in our program. And how can you do that possession after possession after possession? And that's a mindset. Every single day in practice, that's a mindset of being the best you can be in that possession and then going further, every single one from there. So that's really, we try to just take it one by one, day by day, and believe that the outcomes kind of are the byproduct of that.
I watched some of your press conferences, and you mentioned playing free and fast. Mm-hmm. What's the origin of your style of basketball?
First off, it all starts with defense and rebounding. Because like I always say, everyone wants to play fast and free, but you can't run when people are scoring on you. So we gotta defend, rebound, and then we're gonna run. But I want our players, in our Phoenix transition, it's really just it's not calls out of it. It's all reads of where the defense is, and I want our players to just be players. So we're going to teach them the fundamentals and give them the blueprint, but I want them to be able to play out of that. And again, play and be the type of players they can be. So I think freedom is a big piece of that.
Your entire starting five is returning. That's not normal in this day and age. That's amazing. What role does experience play in trying to elevate the group?
It's so important, and if you see a lot of the great teams, and even last year, a lot of it were fifth-year seniors and regular seniors. Experience is a critical piece. So I think having a year of experience just with our system and kind of our expectations and how we do things, hopefully that'll benefit us. And to bring back our whole starting five, they know now what it takes to go through a whole Big Ten season and how every single night, what you got to be ready to go because it's just so competitive. So I think that experience is going to really play into hopefully having an even better season this year.
You also brought in a big piece, Camille Hobby, NC State fifth-year transfer. What do we need to know about her?
She's been really, really important for us so far. I mean, obviously, having all the success she's had at NC State and winning multiple championships and just playing there against top-level competition. So right away, she understands what it takes. Now, it's also been, she's like a freshman in terms of our system and our culture and all of that. So it's been some learning curves with that. But, she just gives us a little bit something different. Obviously, we need depth. Kendall had the majority of the minutes last year, and you could see at the end she wore down. She had an injury at the end. So having Hobby be able to, kind of be right along with Kendall and be able to play together and or sub for each other, she gives us that presence of just a big, strong, physical, I'm going to, bump around down there and not care about it. I mean, it's just a little bit different than Kendall, too, their styles.
Right.
So she helps us right away.
And then at the guard position, break down who we should be talking about there.
Obviously we have Makaira and Jen back and Adelia, at the wing position. So you have those three great guards, and we play 2 point guards a lot together with Makaira and Jen. So it's really nice to have 2 ball handlers out there and 2 people they can kind of play off each other. Obviously elite scorers and facilitators. And then, you have Jada Peoples, who's back for her 5th year. You have Gretchen Dolan, who's a freshman that I think is going to be able to come and help us right away. You have Shea Boland's another transfer that'll give us depth at the 4 position for Bryn, who Bryn has really elevated her game as well, and I think her having a year of experience in the Big Ten is really going to help her and propel her game as well.
Big picture to the league now. I look at all these pendants, right? Maryland, Indiana, Ohio State, Iowa. 7 teams that went to the NCAA tournament. How do you go about game planning each night for some of the best players in the country that are in your conference?
Yeah, that stresses me out looking at all those. It's like when our schedule came out. I looked at it once and I'm like, no, I just one day at a time mindset.
Right.
But this is the best women's basketball league in the conference, and you look around at the teams, you look at all the coaches of these teams. They're the best in the country, and I have so much respect for them. And then you look at the players. every team. Like you're having a game plan, not just for one great player, for multiple players, and it's a gauntlet. It really is. And I said I knew that and I wanted that. That's why I came to this conference. But you don't know it until you go through it. So until you live it, and you're like, okay, this is it's tough. But again, if you're a competitor, you want to play the best. You want to compete against the best. So I'm excited. I think so many teams can. I think it's open, right? There's so many teams that could make a run and really do some great things in the conference.
Before you even get into conference play, there's an event called the City Shamrock Classic, where you and Notre Dame will be able to take on each other in Washington, D.C. What opportunity arises with that event? What do you think of it?
I was so excited that it worked out and that we were able to play them. Notre Dame obviously is a program, that's been consistently one of the top in the country in women's basketball for a long, long time. So it's something, our program's striving for. And we actually had scrimmage Notre Dame in our private scrimmage last season. So I thought that was, kind of cool too, that now we're going to get to play them in a real game. And again, just a ton of respect for what they've done and who they are. So number one, it's going to be a great opportunity for us to play against a definitely probably a top 10 team in the country. So that's great. And then you talk about just it being on national TV, and everything around it is just great. How we're going to come in and both teams are going to do community service. We're having a luncheon. We're having, women speakers coming in and powerful women that have been successful in their areas of expertise. So I just think it's a really cool event, how it's not just basketball. It's also they're bringing in everything else.
Yeah, it's always about more than the game.
Yes.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you so much.